Tough for either team to get back into it, and it was SSG who slipped up first. And Faze, as soon as they could even smell blood, they pushed on in. They had the advantage. They constantly pinched the SSG roster, who were on staggered spawns. They would come up as a 2, they would die as a 2, they would spawn as a 2 and die again. And Faze, in their first chance of asking, will find themselves in a grand final here in Dallas.
What a bloody series. It had everything. And what a way to end it. In a Game 5 Slayer that was down to the wire. Both teams had their chances. Both teams had some misplays along the way. But it's FaZe who booked their ticket to Grand Finals. And now SSG have to face the old enemy in Optic Gaming.
And it was Renegade with 16 kills at the end of Aquarius, but it was Frosty with 13 assists. And it's exactly what they wanted when they added Renegade to this roster. They wanted a little bit more firepower, someone who could pull out that in a Game 5, and Renegade has stepped up to the plate and shows what he's made of. And he's done it against his old team as well. SSG fall to the elimination bracket, but FaZe find themselves in a grand final, which means they are one best of 7 away from hoisting that trophy for the first time in over a year.
Well, we've been flapping our gums for long enough. I know Blaze has got a nice man, a snowman over on the stage to get some words from.
So much there, Gaston, Dan, and Shurzy. Give it up for FaZe Clan, everybody, as they move on to yet another grand finals, Frosty. Man, now, talk to me about this series, because last time you guys really lost them was in the online tournament. That's how they kind of took that first seed from you. But now here on LAN, outside of it being LAN, was there any changes in your game plan that really worked out for you in this series versus the last time you lost to them in that online finals?
Yeah, definitely. We were working on a lot of things. I think SSG coming into this tournament have been hitting a stride. They've been looking really good. I think for us, like, obviously we lost to them, but we didn't take it to heart. We just knew, like, we needed to stick to our game plan, needed to work on the things we needed to work on, and that's what we did, and that's what we came here and just did right now, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw right there on the stage. Now, this was a tight series for you, okay? You go down to the map 5, and the one thing is that I noticed in there, especially from you, some of those kills just wasn't getting confirmed for you personally. A lot of assists on the board. How do you stay focused right there? Because your teammates, they were coming through, cleaning up the kills. What was your mindset there when the game was tight?
Yeah, I mean, first off, my teammates are nasty, obviously. But yeah, kills weren't going my way, but if we stick to the game plan, like, that's what happens. Like, I wasn't shooting straight, but we still got the dub in the end. Like, we just know our game plan. Everybody's confident in each other and doing what we need to do. Like, that's what happens.
Hey, you were iced up there on the stage, okay? Give it up for Frosty and Faze can once again. That's going to do it for us on the stage. Lottie, take us away.
Thank you so much, Blaze and Frosty on the main stage. And a huge congratulations to FaZe for making it into the grand final, because that was not easy. I honestly don't think you could have seen two teams that were better matched than those two right there. And we've known that for a long time, right? They match up very, very well against one another. I think their play styles really kind of merge them together, where it makes things so close and marginal. And there are tiny little turning point moments where individual skill kind of just erupts, and it just changes the course of action across the entire series. So it was absolutely incredible to watch. I want to know your thoughts based on that series and the score, and kind of how the journey went for it.
Yeah, I think coming into this series, SSG looked like the best team at this tournament. And I said, like, to just about anybody that asked me coming in, I was like, if FaZe want to win this, which they're capable of, they're going to have to elevate their gameplay to something we haven't seen from them this weekend. They just did that. That was perfect Aquarius Slayer. For them to be on the ropes for that entire first half and to not have map control and to not really have a lot going their way, but to keep it within a 2-1 kill game the entire time, I immediately in my head, I'm like, the second FaZe gets some map control and get the ball rolling, they're going to blow this one wide open. That score towards the end was not close, but this series, I'll be honest, it was lost in the oddball. Somehow, some way, the scrappiness that I've never seen from this FaZe roster pre-Renegade, I would say they were not a good oddball team as far as efficiency is concerned. Their efficiency kept them in that oddball game, and even though SSG, I will say, flat out outplayed them, somehow they stole that game 3. It allows them to get to this game 5. and they do what they do best. They close out series.
They certainly did. We're actually going to break that down in just a moment, but just to remind folks at home, while we're talking about Space Station Gaming, we do have something very special coming up very soon with SSG, and of course it is another global invitational that will be happening in Bravo. This one is going to be special. I mean, look, first of all, look at the graphics that we
Is that
have
where
here
we're going?
showing
Look,
it.
yeah, I mean, look what we
Salt
got.
Lake City. It's stunning.
Yeah, it's cannot wait to be there. Of course, everything that Space Station touches, it feels like, is an absolute masterpiece, whether it's not just tournament performances, but also the memes. The creative team at Space Station, I believe, is cooking up some good stuff. I've heard a little bit of teasers here and there, and I cannot wait to see what Space Station has in store.
100%, yeah. Massive shout out to the content team. SSG have me basically crying with laughter all the time on the timeline. So love that from them and cannot wait for that global invitational. Back to business, though, in terms of what we saw in that series. We'll have a look at the series layout in just a second as well. And I want to quickly ask you and jump back onto the point that you made there, especially in that Aquarius Slayer. There were moments, like you said, in the beginning where it was really, really, really close. It was 2 kills, 1 kill, and the separation was marginal. Then something happened with Faze. The control was there. Clutch, talk to me about that moment and why fans at home may be thinking, hold on, why wasn't it a snowball from the beginning? Why was it so difficult to gain that control and then run with it?
Yeah, I'll start from the start of the game, right, where Bound's able to get the first camouflage, and they're able to get a couple of kills, start stringing some of the map control, but they're not really able to push their advantages. Somehow, some way, it feels like every single time we're watching a point of view of SSG, they're getting kills, but the score's not really changing, or the differential in score's not changing along the way. It was a testament to FaZe being able to play on their back feet the whole time, figuring out ways to trade damage from disadvantageous positions. That's so difficult at the highest level, especially when you're playing against a team like SSG. But it really was the mid-game where things started to turn around. Royal 2 picks up a couple key camouflages, and even though maybe his impact as far as like the damage being dealt wasn't a max with those, he's taking the camo, the win conditions away from SSG, but he's also playing his life so well to where it forced SSG to turtle up. And when you turtle up on Aquarius, you become susceptible to pinches, nades, like those dynamo grenades become so impactful. And you got to give a big shout out to Renegade too. So often was it a 4-on-4 on the map, and then all of a sudden we might be watching someone's point of view, but Renegade shows up in the kill feed. Numbers advantage on Aquarius Slayer. Give me that every time of the week. We're running with it, and that's exactly how FaZe were able to play with.
They certainly did the job, indeed. Let's take a look at the stats right now coming across all of our teams there in that series. And Brav, is there somebody who really stood out to you, whether or not it's the stat line or just the gameplay in general, that really made an impact in that series?
Yeah, let's see. This is my first time taking a look at the stats from the series as well. Of course, Renegade on a 1.21 overall, always going to be impressive. And to be honest, whether you look at Charlotte or whether you look at Dallas so far, he's actually been right around that number in general, trending from like about 1.2, all the way up to like a 1.6 at times. The man is back, and he is firing on all cylinders. Also, take a look, only player to go slightly negative is Frosty, and as you heard him say, there's nothing to worry about. The team is doing exactly what they need to do according to the game plan. And I would say on the side of SSG, there's no standout, big negative performances. I think everyone, they got to a game 5, right? It came down to the wire.
When I look at Penguin's KD ratio, it doesn't speak volumes as far as how many kills he was getting, but when we saw his point of view, he was such a difficult kill so many pivotal times in this series. Penguin was playing lights out, playing his life so well. I'm actually shocked SSG weren't able to capitalize more on some of the opportunities Penguin was able to give this team. But that just goes to show you, with a little bit more life out of the superstars on that team, Penguin playing as well as he is, we could very well see SSG in the grand finals.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a repeat, too, because the last time we saw FaZe and SSG play in Charlotte, right, only one player was positive, and that was Bound during that series. Similar here, only one player positive, that's Penguin. Statistically, when we see Stellar and Eco on really good numbers, that's when SSG is doing their best. We have seen it in Dallas so far. We just didn't see it that series here. So expecting to see them bounce back in a big way. And I'm going to have eyes on both Stellar and Eco specifically in terms of see what they can do for the rest of the day, maybe get themselves back into the grand finals.
I couldn't agree more, and I've got to say, they don't think it's over. Just to let you guys know, Space Station, as far as they're concerned, are still in it to win it right now. They do, of course, have that elimination final coming up next, trying to rebound back into that grand final, but they're going to have to take down the green wall, and I'll tell you something, that cement is pretty strong. That green wall doesn't like to fall very easily, so Space Station are going to have to bring their biggest hammers to try and knock that one down. But gents, I actually wanted to ask you a little something, and we're all friends here, so have you guys noticed that Gaskin's been acting a bit weird lately? You know?
actually.
I just think that
I would
maybe
say historically.
I just think Gaskin's a weird guy in general, to be honest. But I mean, it has gotten stranger.
Yeah, I've got to say, I feel like the upgrades that we've been putting in just haven't really been working. Have you guys noticed something's wrong with Dan?
With Gaskin has been rather difficult. You see some of the other casting pairs on set in Bravo, Golden Boy and Walsh, and they've struck up this real friendship and camaraderie, but with Dan it's been a little bit more challenging. As you can see, he will do this until his battery runs out, his GPS is short. He's an AI.
Everyone else seems okay with this. Like, I have genuine concerns about where this could go, not only for problems that can arise. This has never been done before. What's going to happen to my job? What am I going to do if Dan can do all of our jobs? Like, these things haven't been thought through properly.
We all have different opinions on Gaskin being AI. Personally, I think it's the future, but some casters are a bit more hesitant.
I'm genuinely worried and concerned for how this could go.
So, something that we've noticed with Dan is you have to charge him overnight most times. We have came into some issues trying to find a charging port for Dan.
Charging Gaskin can be a challenge, depending on where we're at, who's brought the charger. Sometimes we've forgotten that in the past.
Yeah, I remember version 1.0 of Gaskin, quite a while ago now. Very faulty at the beginning.
And sure, everybody loves some of the features, right? Everybody loves party mode. Yeah.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. It drives the future of autonomous driving, powers cloud services for billions, helps change the course of climate change, connects communities of gamers anytime, anywhere, and uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD, together we advance.
For every generation, it has started with the call to serve. Discovering purpose and belonging well-earned. Fighting and winning for our nation and its people. But Marines are never really finished serving. Their commitment is visible in communities across our country. This is Semper Fidelis. Always faithful. Always Marine.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the HCS DreamHack Dallas Global Invitational. Sorry, can't hold it together. And we are joined by our wonderful AI team member, Dan Gaskin. Hello, mate.
Update 3.0 has had me a lot more fluid, not as robotic, and it's feeling good. Good to be alongside you guys.
Good to be alongside you two. It's amazing. We have an incredible content team here at the HCS. Loose Films are fantastic and have been working very hard behind the scenes to bring some entertainment and joy to everybody here at the Halo community. Clutch, lovely to see you yet again. I also haven't actually managed to comment on your outfit today. You look mighty fine.
Thank you.
And also, would you like to show the squad how great the boots are?
I'm not. That's
Come
not
on.
me. That's not me.
Come on, that's exactly why
I dusted the boots off the closet. They've been in there for probably 4 years since I moved up to Seattle, but I'm in Texas, so I felt to be in the spirit Championship Sunday. I throw the boots on.
Yeah, he's got his cowboy boots on, and we'd love to see it. Absolutely incredible. And tell you what, though, we're going to have to see some clutch ups, some ice, some resilience coming across the stage in just a moment, because we have our elimination final. We have Optic Gaming versus Space Station Gaming, and both of these teams have their tournament lives on the line. One, history in the making potentially, four-peating. That is the hopes and dreams of Optic Gaming. And Space Station Gaming, well, no more second places. They need a chance to lift the trophy this year with Bound and do it time and time again, and this is where it starts for this team. So who is going to reign supreme? And that is the big question we're going to be answering in this series. When you're looking at both the matchups here, Optic Gaming, obviously, a bit of a bumpy tournament so far, but find themselves right back up here. They're fighting fit for this trophy clutch. What do you make of them?
Tried, tested, true. That's what this team is, going for a four-peat, and the championship whites are out, and the last 3 times they brought those out, they came away with the dub. So let's see if they can do it again. The big issue for me here is they're kicking off their Sunday without a series, and SSG just went to Game 5, so you know they're ready, they're warmed up. Even though they're coming off a loss, they're going to have a huge advantage as far as already having reps on the day. We'll see how woke Optic is coming into the series.
We certainly will indeed. I think in terms of the way that Optic like to play things as well, they like to wait for their opponents to make mistakes. They like to wait for the mistakes to come to them, and they have been very, very good at doing so. When it comes to this series layout, though, how many mistakes are potentially on the cards?
Well, 2 of these 5 game types were already played previously when these two matched up against each other, and Space Station won both of them. That's Streets King of the Hill and Strongholds Recharge. So I think that Optic Gaming will maybe be well aware of that, and hopefully have done their research, done their prep, and try and find something to take down SSG. It is a far better series layout for Space Station, I have to say. The big one for me is Game 5 Slayer Empyrean. Do you remember what we saw Optic do to Native Red yesterday on that map and mode? I think the SSG want to avoid a Game 5, make sure they get this done in at least 4.
I think they will indeed. Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really difficult here for both of these teams. When it comes to Space Station Gaming, what we saw in that Faze series, what bodes well for this team? What are the strengths coming into this one against the Green Wall?
Yeah, I think Space Station's ability to really set the tone and stay alive in a lot of the situations. I'd want to see them be a little bit more objective, efficient, and honestly control power-ups and put them to use a little bit better. But I think if they're able to do that, they're going to be able to find themselves in the grand finals very shortly.
Now, Gaskin, Stella said it on the interview yesterday, they're very aware of how Optic play. They are very aware of what they need to do. Optic, they're going to have to adjust a few things here. What do you think the adjustments might do for them here, and what would they be?
I think the Optic sometimes are guilty of playing too slow at times, and I don't think SSG are going to allow that, so Optic are going to have to adapt and speed things up when it's necessary, and they've done that yesterday. Throughout the tournament, I think Optic have sped things up when they've needed to, and I think as long as they don't allow SSG to dictate the pace throughout the entire series, then they should be okay.
All right, then. Well, it is just about time to head on over to our casters. This is our elimination final. Someone is going home after this. And another team, they'll be going into that grand final spot, having to win 2 best-of-7s to lift that trophy by the end of it. Let's head on over to Walshy and Sheriff T. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Lottie. And what is up, DreamHack Dallas? Man, I'm excited to be here. Elimination bracket finals, and as you guys know, I'm Sheriff T, apparently. This is Dave Walsh, and man, am I excited to rematch Optic going up against Space Station Gaming.
I think most people predicted these top 3. Lots of other teams that could have cracked into here, but taking a look at this first game we're going into, these are these teams' CTF stats so far this tournament. Space Station not dropping a single CTF. Optic Gaming with a 1-2 CTF record. Consider one of those losses was against Quadrant, where they had a 2-0 lead, and somehow Quadrant grabbing back-to-back caps with a few minutes remaining.
And what was crazy to me is that in that winner's bracket finals, FaZe were undefeated in all of Capture the Flag. Until they ran into Space Station Gaming in that game number 1 that ended in the first loss. Obviously, Capture the Flag, seemingly their bread and butter, especially when it comes here to Aquarius. Optic Gaming, if they want to pull off the 4-peat, they're going to have to go up against one of the best in the league.
Let's see how they're going to do it. Can Optic make the rally back here on Championship Sunday? They had a long day on Saturday night, rolling through some strong teams to make it back here. But it's a brand new day. 2 teams coming out here hot to try to make it into the grand finals. And let's kick it off with none other than Formal here from Optic Gaming.
Camouflage sitting towards the middle. Obviously, both teams want first hands on it, but a stray grenade shredding the shields of your man Formal. Spacestation Gaming going 2 down immediately, and Camo still not grabbed, but it looks like Optic are starting to make their move.
It's so interesting seeing the starts here on Aquarius. It used to be just grenades going over towards those sneaky ledges over on the car side. All of a sudden, people are just getting grenaded left and right over near the thruster packs in the courtyard.
Them GB nades are coming out. You gotta watch out for them. You also gotta watch out for Lucid just sneaking around with this camouflage, not only putting damage onto multiple different players, but feeding that information to the rest of his team. Has an individual pivotal battle, gonna back right out of it, doesn't want to go down, wants to get every last value out of that camo.
Yeah, got every second out of it, but no caps out of it. That's a solid defense there coming out of Spacestation Gaming. Pretty neutral territory right now, but that's going to be 3 falling down for Optic, and Eco is already on the Space Station base.
And that's what we talk about with the objective efficiency with Space Station Gaming. The moment they get their slays, they're already in your base. Don't let them slay you twice, so that flag will be moving the opposite way. Trippy trading out his life there on the car side. Both teams momentarily going 2 down, both teams struggling to get full map control.
Yeah, and during these next 30 seconds, they're going to be vying for control of the center of the map. Yes, if they get a few kills, they might try to get a quick pull, but other than that, they're going to likely set up for this camo coming up to 25. But instead, Space Station decides to get a quick pull out here. Eco trying to run this towards pink. Is this going to go well, or is this going to cost them not only the flag grab, but also the upcoming camo?
Inside control still for SSG. Stellar backs all the way down, but Trippy not going to allow him to get away. The follow-through is in, but Optic momentarily have numbers. Penguin, he wants to win this fight. It's not going to happen. APG sends him to the death screen.
And that's going to be 3 down for Space Station Gaming right as the camo came up. That certainly had to go in the hands of an Optic member. And we also see them pushing out all across the map. So we're going to have to see if they're able to turn that into anything. We're on Lucid's death screen for a second, so I wonder if he was able to grab the camo. But no, somehow Eco, the first player who grabbed that flag off his respawn, pushed on over and got that top center camo.
We saw the first camouflage end up in the hands of Optic Gaming. No flag tap from it. Now SSG want a chance with theirs. Cat's APG ratting in the corner there. Not going to happen, but where did that Lucid? Great prediction.
Just grenades, especially when they're in those tight corridors over at Utility, and especially if they're going to hear a player like Cam over there, they're going to do anything they can say, whether it's a Hail Mary prayer or a Hail Mary grenade.
Still tied up right now after 3 minutes of action. Formal was able to get away with the heat wave, but it looks like Space Station Gaming might have spotted him a couple stray shots from across the map. He ends up losing his duo in APG. He can't go down because you hear the flag going out. If SSG get the slays, that might be it. 3 down for Optic Gaming. Space Station Gaming might have opened this wide open. That flag has already made it towards the P side.
Just look at that constant pressure from all those angles from the members of Space Station. Formal didn't know whether he should be looking back at flag, watching his own back in Utility, and because of it, Space Station able to grab that first gap, able to grab all those kills, and didn't lose control of the entire map. They still have pressure over on the Optic half.
People think it's just a cliche when we talk about Space Station Gaming's objective efficiency. Notice how that flag got pulled and thrown out before they got the kills. Once the kills come in, that flag is already moving and already gone before Optic knew what was happening. 1-0 lead for Space Station, 8 minutes on the clock, so no need to get worried yet, especially on Aquarius.
No, and they've been doing it objectively efficient as well. Kills are nearly even. It's 27 kills here for Space Station Gaming, and now 27 kills for Optic Gaming. So dead even on the slaying front.
2 camouflages in a row for Space Station. Not only that, but they're controlling the mid-map at the moment. Takes no damage whatsoever until, hold on, long-range shots from Formal are going to connect. That's a big kill. You just took out camo.
Yeah, Stellar just doing everything can to get away with that, but these players and teams are going to iterate anytime someone has that camo, that power-up, that power weapon. It's going to be known, and anyone who has an angle of that across the map is going to dial in on that player.
It's that communication and coordination that make Optic so tough to deal with, and with that, Space Station Gaming finding out the hard way. They go 3 down. Now you're seeing Optic within the base, and Trippy gets this kill. We could see a flag get pulled, has to retreat because he is one shot. Doesn't exactly have the help he's looking for, but here comes the cavalry. SSG better be careful.
Yeah, and Optic, during this chaos, are somehow able to pull a flag, and Luce is going to continue to rally. I want to go to Optic, listen to hear how they're going to try to capture this flag.
We need some kills or damage.
One bullet. Joey, back.
You here in our base?
No one here, Tommy? Brick. Touch. Beat down. Nice shot. Yo, I didn't get touched though. I didn't get touch.
Help.
Our flag, and then one top in. Nice kill. They're gonna go straight for it. He's gonna go straight for Reed.
Probably stream search the Reed.
Get in it. I gotta beat down. He's absolutely running here, guys. Absolutely running in front.
Two guys top in.
Two guys top in. One's full. On touch.
Camo's coming, guys.
Go on. Bottom it.
And as we heard, even though Optic got that flag all the way back to their base, you heard Coach Lunchbox saying, we need to get those slays. They were not just going to try to force that flag in because there were members of Space Station just looking all across the map, ready to punish any player running that flag on the plat.
Once again, Space Station Gaming getting another camouflage, but at least Optic are able to burn it before it takes any real effect. In fact, they weren't able to take that camo into a 3 down in their flagpole. But my gosh, we saw Penguin getting sturdy with it. Now we're seeing Stellar wanting to dance as well, right behind enemy lines. Dynamo grenades are out. He's going to pull this flag and turn the attention of Optic Gaming towards him.
We've been seeing lots of front base pulls. They've been thrown out in the courtyard rather than the longer utility route. It just might be an efficient route, or people just taking the faster routes as they can. Stellar realizing players are all over on the pink side, tries to get the pull and run it on over towards Car. Meets some resistance from Formal, and that should be the end of that flag. That flag is going home back to Optic, and 1 more minute till the 4-minute camo comes up.
And like you kind of alluded to, trying to take the shortest route possible, but Optic were able to come right off the spawn, find that angle, and turn it into some hard side control. You see 3 members of Optic starting to grind forward. Blue utility is about to be cleared out. If that happens, we're going to see another flagpole, but this time for OG. Trades going out, so nothing clean yet. APG might be left alone here. What can he do?
APG trying to buy time and stay alive, but the pressure's coming in. Bound and Crew knowing they have to clear him out. APG hitting perfect shots, taking out Bound and staying alive on the flag. This is going to be a thorn in the side of Space Station until they can deal with him, and somehow still alive for a short time.
My bad, APG. I didn't mean to question. I said, what could he do? I forgot. He's a pure goated. I didn't know. That's on me. Like a pure gentleman introduced that player to the black screen. We see Bound doing a great job with the long-range shots, but once again, a grenade out of nowhere, and of course it's Lucid clearing out a player he has no business doing so. Stellar ends up hitting the black screen as well, and now we see Optic take their first camo since the opening rip.
Yeah, Lucid with the 4-minute camo eventually just called out there. As we said, anytime a player's grabbing that camo or that power-up, players are keeping track of it. Even if they don't have the angle, they have in the back of their minds, where can this player get to within these next 5 to 10 seconds? Am I at threat of getting flanked by this camo?
Stellar does a great job of creating space here, making sure that nobody in Optic Gaming is in their utility, because once that happens, you can't go down. Once that happens, they'll turn the tables real quick. And with 3.5 minutes, Space Station Gaming, they realistically can win this 1-0. Who knows? If that defense is strong, Optic may be down 0-1.
Yeah, and we're tied once again in kills, 63 apiece. Stellar trying to get the lead for his team with that 64th kill. And we are getting at that point in time, like you said, that the clock can start to become a factor. Up until this point, Space Station, they definitely wanted to press their advantages. They definitely want to push in for a flag where they can. Right now, we're not going to see them force a flag. If they get the opportunity, though, and they get the slays, they will pull and try to get that 2-0 lead.
But the green wall defense, once again, good, and hopefully Optic can turn that defense into some offense. Space Station Gaming thought they had the opportunity, but 3 spawners from Optic cleared them out, and now Eco over towards the mid-map, still applying pressure, but does he realize Car side is vulnerable?
Does not realize it, but needs to penetrate through and break through this defense here. That's going to be Bound being a nuisance once again over at the Optic base, but runs into 2 members there. That's going to be Lucid and Formal playing defense at the Optic side. Space Station have the information, and Space Station are going to take control of the rest of the map while they are stuck at the base.
I give a shout out to Bound and Penguin combining for 43 kills at the moment, even have a decent amount of assists to go along with it. A large reason why Optic aren't able to cross that 50% portion of that, the large reason why Optic aren't able to get those clean slays and those clean pulls is because of the slays coming out of them. And now Penguin with another camouflage, already watching the overextenders. That flag is on the move and already past the 50%. This could be a 2-0. Space Station might be dominating here.
Penguin just needs to delay, trying to buy time, but the push has come in and the stop has happened. APG just trying to stay alive. That's going to be Lucid doubling back for the back smack, and that's going to be a dead flag. Eco's now trying to stop the counter cap.
Halfway done with the return, and you have two members of Optic now approaching the base of SSG. The counter pull comes in right through the mid, but Penguin and Bound, back-to-back kills coming out of your leading Slayer. Bound wasting no time whatsoever to get onto that return, and now we're right back where we started, but 1 minute and 13 seconds on the clock.
Let's see how Bound plays this. Last few minutes, we've been seeing Bound get all the way in the base of Optic Gaming. Bound might now opt to leave the base open so that members of Optic Gaming spawn in their own base so they aren't spawning out and getting a pull. Now he's just going for slays, and look at that. How effective was that by Bound? Setting two members to the respawn screen. They cannot have the control to grab a flag against Space Station now.
Hey, McWin said it best. It's hard to play objective when you're dead. It's as simple as that. So as of right now, Space Station, you just have to slay, baby slay, less than a minute here. And Optic find himself 3 down. The moment the spawners come up, they're going to have to overextend. Eco's dropping a triple kill. Another pull is coming out. Look at the spawner already having reticles trained on him. You just went 4 down, and I don't think anybody's stopping this flag. This might be game.
This is going to be tough, and that's going to be flag number 2. Optic have to pull off the perfect ending. They have to get a double cap to just tie this game. And with 3 members down and Formal's the last one standing, I don't see that happening. We're looking at a 1-0 lead here for Space Station in this series.
What a start coming here out of Space Station Gaming. Optic wanted their revenge. They wanted back into the grand finals, but Space Station Gaming are here, and they want the same.
That was so well played there by Space Station. There were a couple stop flags that I give more credit to both teams when they were on the defensive, but every single time towards those last 5 minutes, you saw Space Station just positioning so well. They'd go into the base, create distraction, they'd find where players are at, and they could either get those kills, or even if they died, they knew that they drew members back from Optic into the base so that they couldn't get control of Pink and Carr. And then when it came down to that last minute and a half, Tony, you saw Bound just getting kills on the outskirts, not pushing the flag, not leaving his teammates a person down in the middle of the map.
And that's one thing like coaches, like for example, Callis always talk about. Control those perimeters. Don't allow a player over towards utility. Don't allow a player over towards your bridge, because your pushes start with those anchor players, and eventually SSG cleared everyone out. Optic ran out of time, and SSG even managed to get themselves a pull and a second cap where honestly they really didn't need it. That was just a bit of icing on the cake.
Yeah, and when you have either of these legendary coaches behind you calling out where you should be running that, you trust that. I mean, you got Elamite and Lunchbox as the coaches of these squads, giving them the reassurance of the macro picture in the game. Where should they run the flag? What should they be focusing on? Should they be trading out a kill, or should they be buying some time and staying alive?
Slayer Live Fire coming up next. And you know, all the greats, they have epic comebacks. You know, I think the Jay-Z's, the Michael Jordans, the McRib. Everybody has an epic comeback. Maybe Optic can come back in this series. It starts here in game number 2, and Live Fire tends to be Optic's bread and butter. So I will say, this is a really good bounce back game for Optic.
When I used to compete back in the day, we kind of had Beaver Creek Team Slayer in Halo 2 as that reset game. If we ever saw that during a series and we were down, we just knew, like, all right, game 2, we got this. Or if it goes to game 5, we're just going to close it out easy with that in 2007. And so that could be a good reset moment here for Optic. They've been so consistently strong on Livefire throughout all of Halo Infinite. This could be the game that brings them back to a 1-1 series.
SSG was undefeated in Slayers all weekend long. In fact, they only dropped maybe 3 maps all weekend long, but they did just recently lose one over towards Faze, over to the upper side. Actually lost 2 in that one, so maybe they're feeling vulnerable. Maybe Optic can take advantage, find a little bit of weakness here, because if I'm Optic Gaming, I'm treating this Game 2 Slayer like it's Game 5. I'm not going to give Space Station any extra momentum. You got to draw your line in the sand. You have to build your wall brick by brick. It starts right now.
They're going to have to pull it out right here, right now. I mean, these teams are known for being able to bounce back, make comebacks when necessary, but when you're going against teams of this caliber, you got to take the wins where you can guarantee them or get them. And so you know this is a huge, huge game here for Optic. Same time, like you said, Space Station, the only games they're dropping all weekend long have been against that Faze roster who's in the grand finals. They want to get back there and get their chance to win this event.
Allow me to focus a little bit on live fire. We have a couple of seconds here, and I want to know what are your keys to success to controlling a map like live fire, a map where you can really punish teams for going 3 down and manipulate those spawns. What are your keys to success here on live fire Slayer?
I mean, besides the obvious power weapon and overshield, I would say it's knowing when you have numbers and knowing you can fly high, knowing if you can continue to press that advantage. Because there's going to be some times where players are distance enough where you can't just go collapsing on tower. You might not be in the positions to spawn trap at green. However, when you do have those strong top center positions and you get those kills, you can start to snowball that into a bigger lead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's game number 2, and don't forget, this is your elimination bracket finals. The winner of this goes into the grand finals and has a chance to compete for the lion's share of this prize pool. There's so much on the line here on Championship Sunday. Will it be Optic? Will it be Space Station?
What a sick nade there by Trippy. All these players just knowing exactly when and where they bank a grenade on these ramps, where they will land up. And Trippy having gotten in that fight hundreds of times, knowing that he can back down and lay down that grenade for anyone towards mud.
One thing I'm always so impressed with Optic Gaming is the way they're able to attack those overshields from multiple sides. You're coming at multiple angles, and it's so tough to deal with. That's why Optic normally are always controlling the overshield, especially here on live fire, but overshield depleted. Now Trippy, no longer with the extra shield, decides to go for a bit of a flank. Early damage onto Bound, goes in for the cleanup. It looks like Eco was perfectly watching that angle, eventually takes down Trippy.
Eventually takes it down. Formal feeling the pressure, though, trying to get set up with Sniper on sandbags, but 2 members of Space Station charging across top, and Formal's going to need to reposition this. He does not have a safe route just yet, trying to communicate with his teammates to figure out where he can head to set up with the snipe. Still not set up, though, because they're all confined in this tower. Look at this press from Space Station. They know the sniper's not set up yet, so they take advantage of that, and they make the charge. Pressure coming in, and Formal's gonna drop it off the map, saying if I can't have it, nobody can.
As powerful as that sniper is, it feels like if you're not in top tower, if you're not on sandbags with A-side control, it feels kind of vulnerable at times. At any point in time, your enemy team can just collapse on you.
Well, it was deceiving there, because in that situation, Optic had clear control of tower, but they had no supporting angles. They had somebody over at Nest that had to get back down. They just didn't have any spots to punish those members of Space Station as they charged across top center. So even though it seemed like a great spot, they ended up all getting corralled into that one area, and Space Station just took them down one by one.
Second overshield gets pulled, but this time it is not Optic to get away with it. It's Eco of Space Station Gaming. 2 kills to his name already and pushing right into the face of Optic. Headbutt onto the green side. Couple of long-range grenades coming out here. Does he know? I don't think no. Eco is right behind. Eco is on the flank, and Optic Gaming have no idea. They're still trying to rotate. Meanwhile, Eco's getting free shots onto the backside. Formal and Lucid somehow still alive. Eco, he's still on the prowl.
You can run and run, but eventually you have to fight that overshield player. It felt like it was a mostly successful rotation there from Optic, but I was a bit worried there. There are many times where you have to just take your licks. You have to fight that overshield. Someone has to drain it down, but it felt like they were just trying to run away from it and catch out other members of Space Station Gaming.
Space Station Gaming clearly wipe Optic, and the moment the spawners are coming up, they're already applying pressure here. 18-16 lead, and with all of the resources in the hands of Space Station Gaming, and now with them slowing the game down and pulling back, this is their opportunity to really take advantage of that sniper, really take advantage of the strong side of the map.
Yeah, and look at this difference in how much it slows down. Space Station, they have a setup with a sniper, and Optic have to respect that. If they just go charging across the map, it's going to be easy pickings here for Stellar. So at this moment, they're going to take some lower routes. They're trying to flank behind tower. Stellar gets Eco's backup, gets a double kill. gonna get that triple. And where's the overkill? Lucid is hiding over at green.
Can somebody call this man out? Because he's right behind enemy lines and going off a triple kill for Stellar. Once again, Optic spawning up onto the green side, and the rest of the map is in full control of SSG. There's no reason for them to push up here. Overshield's coming up in just a few seconds, and that could be their second in a row, and that can be devastating for Optic Gaming.
Just doing everything here. Oh my, Stellar. I feel like I'm singing an Incubus song as he is just doing so much work with that sniper across the map.
Overshield and Sniper somehow finds the hands of Lucid here, despite SSG having all that control, and that could be important. Next side, Lucid, he ain't sitting back with his sniper. He's getting it right into the face of SSG. Long range shot connects with the S7, and now the double push onto the green side. In fact, he's gonna take height with Repulse.
I like this play still, even with just a sliver of overshield. It is intimidating to go against. The players aren't sure exactly how many bursts and how many shots they're gonna need to go against Lucid. They just know that the MVP has an advantage, and that's gonna be tough to fight against.
Optic taking back the lead and taking back control of the tower side. We've seen both Space Station and Optic really focus on tower here. Lucid now with the killing spree. Assault rifle for backup. Space Station Gaming go 2 down. So look how Optic managed to take space. Look how they're taking real estate and controlling and manipulating the spawns.
Just blocking back there towards Mud, making sure nothing's going on, seeing if anyone's flanking, and they know the play now. They checked green, they know nobody's there yet, and it's gonna be a garage play. So here's what's going to happen from Optic. They have 2 options. They hold their ground and try to punish the push-up from Space Station, or they coordinate an offensive of their own. It looks like defense is the play. Space Station unsuccessfully goes out towards Plasmas, towards top center, and every single player shut down.
And Optic, one of the best converting that defense into offense, just like you're seeing there, daring Space Station to cross the 50, but that nade from Penguin will slow them down just a bit, and what do Optic do? They just pull right back in. Overshot up in 13 seconds. You're looking at just a few kills between the two. If Space Station Gaming want to come back in this game, this overshield must be theirs.
But they give up on it. They realize they lost a couple members, and as soon as you lose that advantage, you have to respect it. So instead, Space Station step in with a couple extra kills. They just decide to run away with their lives. But because of that retreat, Sniper in the hands of Optic, Overshield in the hands of Optic, and Optic are just on a charge. Every single time these members of Space Station are just down low. There's not much they can do. They can't contest Overshield top center. They're not having successful flanks. They're just being picked apart. There's a reason why Live Fire is known as Optic's map.
And I got the chance to talk to SLG of Quadrant, one of the teams that went toe-to-toe with Optic. He talked about this is Optic's bread and butter. Stack numbers, send 2, send 3, overwhelm you with that teamwork and coordination, and you just saw them use it against SSG, putting their 40th kill already here. Meanwhile, Space Station Gaming struggling to get 30. Optic now less than 10 kills away from tying up the series.
Formal hit in the no-scope and the finish over there towards top tower. That was one of the spots that Space Station eventually worked their way to. They had a good, strong position to help get Crossfire across the map, and just with 2 quick shots there from Formal, that position completely obliterated.
Formal slows it down here. Couple warning shots over there. Look at that, just a distraction. Losing the trip. Just barrel roll right through the bottom mid side of the map, and they clear out the flank the Space Station Gaming are trying to make. 3 down go SSG. Trippy doesn't earn the kill, but a wingman getting all the assists possible, looking like John Stockton in his prime.
Look at Trippy also busting out this Needler, and also look at this composure here from Optic Gaming Squad. They literally could implement my favorite strategy, which is charge because you can't lose, but instead they're going to keep it composed and close this out and make a historic scoreline here as they win by 15 kills here on Live Fire Slayer. We ourselves are tie series.
Optic Gaming making it look easy with that one. We said in Live Fire Slayer, they love it. That's their bread and butter. And with that, if you thought this was going to be a sweep in any way, you haven't paid attention. Come on now. SSG going against Optic, the winner into the grand finals. This is destined to go to game 5.
It has to. I want it to. The best part about being a caster is I get to be biased towards good games and good series. And I just want everything to go as long as possible.
King of the Hill Streets going to be our game 3 here. And we talked about how punishing Live Fires. We talked about how fast-paced it can be. I can only imagine Streets going to be the same thing. But King of the Hill, force you to slow it down, force you to, speed it up when necessary to break the setups and then slow the game down and really get into your defensive stances.
Yeah, of all the game modes that are played on streets, I would say King of the Hill is likely the second slowest, with Slayer having the potential to be the most slow. So these teams are going to be able to slow it down a little bit to set up some charges and pushes, but for the most part, it's still, you can only slow down the streets so much. People are going to be charging around. There's just too many different angles and spots, so you can't just close down the entire time.
What's impressive to me is that this is really a giant question mark with this game 3. Both of these teams on King of the Hill have only lost one game so far on King of the Hill. Both of these teams haven't, even though they matched up early in the tournament, they didn't match up on King of the Hill. So I'm curious.
On our screen there, we had the Optic watch party with Scump and crew. You saw Maniac talk about, man, if I had Sniper there, I would have gotten 2 of them, and it would have been like, we were on 50 to 25. But in this case, you can go on over and also check out Scump doing an incredible watch party. We are happy to have the Optic crew in-house watching the games on their channel as well.
I got the chance to watch him play some Halo. He ain't bad. I'm telling you. Hey, if you want to cross over, I'm sure we can find a team for me, Scump, you, and anybody. We can make it. I believe.
Scump, the king, is in the house. Happy to have it, but clearly Optic has their work cut out for them. They got it back to a tie series. We're now in essentially a best of 3. Like you said, we've got King of the Hill coming up next on the streets. I want to see how these teams are going to opt to go for Bulldog or Rockets at the start. I feel like Bulldog's one of those plays that you kind of either fully giving up Hill at the beginning of the push here on King of the Hill streets, or you're deciding to wait a little bit later, grab all the weapons, and then make a push in with weapons.
It's so tough though. If you're trying to succeed on streets and you're not controlling those power weapons, I don't know what you're doing. Whether it's the Bulldog, like you mentioned, whether it's those rockets, whether the Stalker, it's absolutely incredible. If you're not controlling the sandbox on streets, you're putting yourself at a giant disadvantage. In fact, I would say you're just throwing the game at that point.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, there's just so many weapons and equipment at your disposal there on this map. Both these teams get in some last words talking about what they're going to do off the start, but they've been in the situation hundreds and thousands of times as they're going into these maps. They know what they want to do. They're going to make, at the very most, very slight adjustments according to the players they're playing against, but they know what starting strats they're going to do. They know what they got to watch out for. They know all these situations. They've gone over it in VODs every single night. I would be surprised if they didn't prior to this tournament.
Love the fact that we get the chance to just watch, like, for example, Optic on the cameras right now, and, after a big win like that, I'm celebrating. I ain't gonna lie, but they just look focused, man. It's okay, next game up. Take it one game at a time. Your work is not done, and I love that. They're laser focused right now, and once this game number 3 gets started, it's gonna get fire in here.
Yeah, they're not celebrating until this series is over. They have too much respect across that stage. They acknowledge that anything can happen. A reverse sweep could happen if they allow it. So they want to make sure they see that victory screen after their 3rd game victory. At that point, you'll see them start to appreciate a little bit and then snap back into mode as they go into the grand finals.
This may not be the first time that SSG and Optic have matched up against each other as far as players, but also not the last time that Elamite and Lunchbox as well crossed the. Right. I'm waiting for them to start talking trash. Like, they just stop coaching. They start yelling at each other across the way. That's what I want to see. I want to see some coaches trash talk, and I'm sure Lunchbox and Elamite have a lot to say. But whenever you're looking for a fight, you gotta take it to the streets. Swing game number 3. Optic and SSG had the opportunity to get that momentum, to turn the tides, if you will. Most of the time, teams that end up winning series, they always start with a game 3 when that series is tied up.
This is a crucial swing game, as you said, Tony. We're going to get started with it in just a moment, but as we talked about before, it's going to be so crucial for both these sides to know when they should and should not give up going for a hill or going for an objective. I would say that's one of the more crucial skills that these top teams have. You heard it in the comms before when we even saw that flag on Aquarius, where Lunchbox and crew were saying, hey, don't force us, we need the slays first. And that's what's going to happen here on the streets. They're not going to just always try to go to desperate and try to kill someone on the objective, because these teams are too good at refilling that role. If you die killing the objective player here in the hill, someone else is just going to swap right in. So it's going to be equally important for getting the kills and holding control, but also knowing when to let go, giving up time, maybe even giving up a hill point.
You got to control the flow of the game. You got to control that pace and be willing to, like you said, slow it down, speed it up when necessary. And when I think of that, the two players I think of are Bound and Lucid. Players that obviously have an advanced understanding of the mechanics of the game, and really when they flow like butter through the map. It's actually crazy when you watch their POVs, but they also have the shot to match. So I'm looking at those two, because they're going to be your entry fragments. They're going to be the ones that have to stay alive and get really creative, and maybe that creativity might lead to a stolen hill or two, and ultimately into this Game 3 win.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how they both decide to play this one out. But as you said, it's easy sometimes to highlight those flashy players, but I was seeing lots of great plays out of every single person on there. I mean, the snipes we saw from Stellar, the snipes we saw from Formal. Every single player up here is one of the best Halo Infinite players that we got on the circuit. And we're going to see 8 of them battle it out right now with 2 legendary coaches right behind them.
Rocket, Stalker, Bulldog, and all the equipment that you want here on the streets. That first hill over toward the B side. Meanwhile, Rocket's on the mid and Bulldog all around the left-hand side of the map. It's crazy because you got to control the power-ups, but you don't want to give up that B side control. How do you get full map control on here?
Either strategy works. Like I said, you either commit towards pushing B right away and you don't send that person all the way towards Bulldog, or the second option is you don't commit towards B right away. You need to be in a backed up spot, whether that's towards PD or back towards driveway, where you can lay down a couple shots, but you're going to wait to push in towards that hill about 5 to 10 seconds later once you have full force.
From an outside looking in, I play a little bit of Halo. You know, what was my style? I play ranked. I never played on this kind of stage. Talk to me about the mental. Talk to me about the different factors that come into play outside of just getting the game and being able to shoot well. What else was coming into mind when going into a matchup like your elimination bracket final?
I would say the most nerve-wracking moments are just before and possibly even in between, or like some larger breaks in between games. The rest of the time, as soon as you get in the game, that's their comfort zone. That's what these guys have been training for months, for weeks on end. It's one of those things that they put in all this practice, all this prep to put on a show for all the people out here at DreamHack Dallas. So once the game starts, there's no nerves there. Sure, there might be like a nerve-wracking 49-49 situation or so, but as a game kicks off, as you're in the middle of a game, they're just in their flow. They know how to play Halo at the highest level, and they're happy to do it on the main stage. But prior to that, before they get in the game, that's where they start to question things, start to, maybe have nerves kick in, start to say, oh man, like there's a lot of people watching, or oh, series is tied, we better win this game 3. What am I going to do different to make the difference for my team to win this game?
I'm be honest, and if it's one of those breaks that you were talking about, I'm taking a nap. Because I don't know how you sleep the night before. How do you get any kind of sleep? And with the anticipation of Championship Sunday, I wouldn't eat. I would be a mess going into this match.
And looking for the start, basically what we saw here was Optic opts to go immediately for the B side and go for Hill right away. Spacestation decides to get more map control and grab the weapons. So we're going to see which strategy is better. Is the weapons and more control across the map better, or is getting that early time? Optic, unfortunately, did not get that much early time. They had to back away. They respected too much that those Rockets, that Bulldog, that Stalker be coming their way.
And that's what exactly I noticed. Like, you're talking about a sliver on the side of Optic Gaming towards this first hill. Meanwhile, Bound has that Stalker and Bulldog. His teammates are 3 down, so we have to slow down the game just a bit, wait for his teammates to come off a spawn, but maybe they can make something happen once they do.
What an interesting play. Lays down the Shroud, makes him think he's coming right up and center towards Rails, and pushes on over towards Water Cooler. Takes his time, lines up the shot, and takes out 3 members there for Optic Gaming. It's going to be Penguin versus Formal here for the hill control.
But with that, both teams are going 3 down, so it's kind of a momentary standoff, a 1v1, if you will. Formal ends up getting shot over toward the seaside. Now he's aware where the pressure's coming from, and looks like he might double back here. He wants to go up toward the B stairs.
Gonna go on up towards B stairs, get that clear. One thing that Optic has done a much better job of so far this game is just controlling where they're spawning at. Continually, even during that time where 3 were down from each side, Trippy was able to grab a little bit of time. Trippy spawned his teammates over in towards B and Arcade. whereas all the members of Optic were spawning towards Tram. So even though they're going nearly even in slays, all these members of Space Station have to traverse much further across the map to get towards the hill and contest it.
Well, it looks like Optic, they want to drop wall with them and to contest this hill. The problem is that Space Station Gaming had backup of their own in the form of Numbers and the Sentinel team. A bit of a fight over toward the B side, but looks like Optic going to win that. Space Station Gaming go 4 down. Lucid gets away with the rockets. Space Station, you're running out of time for hill 1.
They're going to have to push on over, but this is actually a surprising amount of time that has drained here on the very first hill. Look how evenly matched these two squads are. We have 1:20 off the clock, and both teams are relatively around halfway through capturing this flag. They realize that they do not want the opposing team to get a full setup. They respect each other so much that they're backing down. APG getting a punch in before Eco to trade out that kill. That Bound eventually cleans up.
Hey, I learned back in Halo 3, don't chase. Don't chase. You're going to get punished. You didn't get ninja'd, but love that play by APG. Either way, it still works out for SSG because it looks like down over toward the mid hill. Finally, the nades forced him to drop out for just a second, but not expecting him to double chow right in melee. Trades out his life. Both teams end up going 2 down. Penguin doing everything he can to stay alive. Here comes Formal and Optic.
Formal trying to take them both down, staying alive, and Penguin getting a killing spree along with a shot caller, pinging so many different players. Now we're seeing Space Station spawn closer, control this hill. I feel like it's going to be a tough step to break. Somehow Lucid and Trippy through the bat ledge, flying on through, making their stand. The last push they can before Space Station potentially capture this. And this is going to be a contested hill.
SSG only needing a sliver. Bound comes in and clears house with that Stalker rifle. And it looks like the first hill going for Space Station Gaming. More importantly, they're rotating on to the next one.
Yeah, that was such a bad position there for Optic. Due to their spawns over there towards A Tower and PD, they had to make a push out there. They had an option. They could either rotate all the way through Bulldog and side to try to make a push for the new Tram hill, or try to fight their way to the current hill, get a stop, and then get over towards Tram. Eventually able to secure those kills, though, and get control of Tram. So lucky for Optic in the end, but that was such a crucial fight there on the B side.
They might have lost that B-side hill, but they were able to clear out Space Station Gaming, and look at all of that time being accumulated here onto the C-side. Look at the fact that Lucid is able to get away with those rockets, seemingly uncontested. Space Station Gaming once again go 3 down, nobody in position to stop this hill. This might be tied up.
After seeing one of the most contested hills we've seen in a long time at the start, that was pretty one-sided for Optic Gaming as they tie this game up 1-1. Bomb Center Hill is in action. This hill has now been extended a little bit, so over near the laundry side and towards ATMs, you can actually still get in the hill while being hidden from balcony or from A.
Gotta give a shout out to Bound. We saw him earlier be largely the reason why they were able to capture that first hill with that double kill to clear it out. And now I'm looking 13-6. 3 assists. Also, look at that forward pressure being applied here. He's right in the middle of the map. He's dead. He's doing the damage. He is stopping Optic from crossing the 50. Finally, Bound goes down, but Space Station Gaming still holding on to the setup.
Look at that insane movement from Bound. Just sliding around the corner against the team that won the last 3 lands. He's fearless. He is charging around those corners, willing to challenge those one-on-one fights and come out successfully against MVP Lucid.
Optic find that first progression over toward the hillside. Nades going down. Looks like the drop wall there as well. We see toward that middle hill. It is so much wider than it used to be when going into that last hill. You can play it over towards the cut side. You can play it over towards that laundry side. It's much more doable and much better on this third hill than when it was in the last one.
And look at this repositioning from Bound, realizing that the push is coming from Rails and from Tram, trying to see if he can catch someone off guard over near C stairs. Unsuccessful there. And this is going to be Optic putting on some time on the board. We have to see what we can do with these rockets, though. Eco, last time, able to trade out kills with Lucid. Not so lucky this time.
Who's going to back down here? He still has 1 rocket left. Gonna have to burn it onto Penguin. Down to half shields. Lucid goes. He wants to play his life, making sure nobody's sneaking up over toward the tire side. Looks like the rest of SSG actually playing right towards A. Lucid recognizes it. A couple shots into the first one. Gets the assist. Goes in for the challenge onto Stellar, but Stellar gonna eliminate him off the map.
Yeah, Stellar also getting that nice help from the PD side. Oddly enough, not seeing that player immediately under him over at Tires, but that's going to be one of the more common locations that players are going to try to hold in this hill. Stellar putting himself in a bad position as he missed that jump and clamber, but decides to overall just commit towards the hill. Sometimes when you commit towards the objective, you just got to go full force.
That's exactly what Spacestation Gaming are doing. And now Stellar goes from that hill player all ready to address in the top C side. Excellent shots. And it's all about, not about getting the kills, not about chasing one, about putting shots and trusting your teammates to get those kills and to finish them off. It's both teams kind of model when it comes to that, both SSG and Optic.
And we got about a split control here over at PD and A, but unfortunately it feels like Lucid and Ormo trying to push towards the center of the map and give a little extra help. Feels like they almost gave up this position towards PD, so now this is going to be a Space Station hill control. There might be arguable idea where you could try to start to drain some time here, but they only have a 1 hill lead. They don't want to try to drain some time, get it to a tie game, and then Optic go into the 5th hill and potentially can clear that game out. So these next 2 hills are really going to be tougher to drain. It's going to be a situation where both teams are likely just going to jump in and grab the hill time when they can.
2-1 lead here for Space Station Gaming. And like you said, with time winding down, if they win this hill, it could be really tough for Optic to make something happen. Rockets are coming up, and normally it's Optic the first one on it, and it looks like it might happen again. Formal sneaking away from the Bulldog side, right towards the Rockets, spotting out the hiding Eco. Nays coming out of nowhere, once again bound, getting that important slay to slow them down. Optic may have taken the lead as far as this hill, but Space Station Gaming, they're on the map.
Space Station trying everything they can to get over there, and look at all this control that you have from Optic. Pushing all the way up towards Neons, meeting 2 members of Resistance. Lucid trying everything he can, but gonna get picked off. And that's gonna be the opening kill that Space Station need to make their charge across the map. But look at this, still constant pressure over on the Cafe and top A. Ego challenge coming out of Penguin, taking out Formal at top A. That's gonna be all the slays they need, in Space Station gonna push over, but too little, too late towards the courtyard. They got all the kills, but Optic walk away with the hill.
You said it, that pivotal battle was it. Space Station Gaming were poised to take it away, but in the last second, Optic put that second hill on the board. Now we're tied up here, and less than a minute on the clock. At this point, this could be a winner takes all. Optic recognize it, so they break right through from C into the purple side. They're gonna be met with resistance. They can't go 3 down. It looks like they just did.
Also, I love that play by Penguin in the hill. As soon as he started seeing someone over towards Tires, over towards Arcade, where he was gonna start getting shot, even if he didn't hear a call out, he knew pressure was gonna come out. Players are not just shooting randomly across the map long range unless they're setting up one of their teammates in a position to get a kill. So Penguin realized the threat had to be nearby, turned towards Neons, and focused on the nearby threat.
3-2 lead for Space Station Gaming. Optic barely gotten any hill time on that one, and now we're moving right back over toward the B side. A long rotation having to be made for Space Station. It looks like Optic already in there. They're already in the defensive stance. Penguin coming in with the Stalker. Eco, he's gonna prioritize Rockets.
Tony, recall earlier at the very start of this game how much time drained out of this hill. This one actually might be an opportunity for Space Station to time this one out. At the very beginning, I don't disagree with jumping this hill. You want to grab time where you can just to be safe. You don't want to risk that and have it come back and bite you. But as this hill goes on, as kills get traded out, as that clock ticks down, there's an opportunity when the clock gets closer to like the 25-second mark that Space Station might just go for 2 rounds of slays to close it out.
Space Station Gaming having the opportunity to put Optic between a rock and a hard place, between that scoreboard and the timer. Optic getting a decent amount of progression on the hill, but they have to pull out. They know the pressure's coming in, and they need these frags. Lucid, the first one to take down Stellar with that Sentinel Beam off screen. We still see the double push coming out of APG and Trippy. That's a double kill, clearing out Arcade. Optic aren't playing any games.
Optic know they had a teammate spawn in Tram. They know the push is coming from PD or A. And so in this situation, they're trying to spot out these players as early as possible. You got a "Let's Go Optic" chant going in the crowd. They want to see this go to a 6th and final hill, or actually 7th. I should do my math a little better.
And it seems like they're feeding off of that, but it looks like SSG, it might just be making them angry. They clear things out real quick, and Optic are so close to finishing it, but only 8 seconds left.
Yes, and this could be a time Spacestation clearly going to drain out these last 5 seconds, just trading out Slays. They got 3 members down.
What?
Formal, the last one alive. Can he make the miraculous play? The answer is no. Spacestation going to go up 2-1 in the series over Optic Gaming.
They were so close. They were just a sliver, a second of hill time away from ultimately stealing it and tying it up and sending it over toward that subway side hill. But you mentioned it before, SSG recognized they could play the scoreboard, they could play the timer, and eventually that time was just not on Optic's side. SSG take another one.
Yeah, as soon as they start trading kills back and forth, and also as soon as Optic were so close on that 3rd point, they decided they just need to get kills. They need to trade out Slays and then just stay out of the hill. Because for those that are unfamiliar with how the objective works in these games, the clock stops at those times. So it's not going to drain down. It's not mathematically impossible to win it until you see that end game screen.
Spacestation Gaming already 3-1 Optic earlier. They have an opportunity to do it once again. You have Spacestation Gaming just 1 game away from making it back to a Grand Finals. And mind you, Spacestation Gaming didn't drop out of a single Grand Finals all year long. Last year, Charlotte might have been a little bit different. Spacestation Gaming, they're going back for what's rightfully theirs.
Going back to their roots. They want to make it back. They want another challenge against this Faze roster. Faze looking scary, though. I mean, Faze made it all the way to that Grand Finals. They had slight little hiccups here and there, some series that people were surprised around the scorelines, but end of the day, Faze Sunday is here, and they're carefully watching these 2 teams play it out to see what they can pick up on little strategies before they go into the Grand Finals.
I've always been so impressed when we get later on into the tournament because you end up seeing less flashy plays. You just end up seeing less multi-kills and more just fundamentals, putting down those shots, staying alive, trusting your teammates to finish your kills, and ultimately, you're really playing more for map control than you are playing for individual kills or individual stats.
Yeah, I mean, you pull out those flashy plays when you're absolutely forced to, when you have no other option to run away or stay alive, but for the most part, you need to have trust in your team. You need to know that you're playing more of a numbers game, a position game. You can't, at this high level of Halo, just solely rely on sick individual flashy plays to carry your team through. That'll work so far through the M bracket. That'll get you only so far as a team, but once you're in the elimination bracket finals, the Grand Finals, it's not gonna fly there.
This is the last opportunity for Optic. If you want to see a Game 5, they gotta do it here on Stronghold's Recharge. And mind you, Strongholds is one of Spacestation Gaming's best game types. They've been dominating all tournament long. They've been dominating all Halo Infinite long on this very game type. If Optic want to be the best, they got to beat the best on their best game type.
And here we are kicking off with Bound, trying to challenge over towards Control. These teams want to get that camo, but it's not going to be given up for free. Bound getting a nice flank, gets the double kill onto Trippy, trying to get away with that camo, somehow still alive. We call this guy one of the best movement players in the game for a reason.
I was just talking about like the individual plays that we're seeing less of. Spacestation Game were 3 down. Bound had to make a play to get that double kill. He had to make a play to take that camouflage or burn it, and that's exactly what he does. Turns it into a perfect kill. Spacestation Gaming seem comfortable in these individual fights.
People also might wonder, why doesn't someone like Bound go for a back smack there on Lucid? He has camo, he's behind him. These players' awareness is off the chart. You're not going to be able to close that gap, challenge that hill, have anything like that go by without Lucid checking his corner. So when you have a kill secured like that, Bound's going to just take that first shot, get the kill, and then back away and get his shields.
Trippy not able to stay alive onto the tower side, and Optic had the numbers, and you know they like their 2-man push. They love their 3-man push. The moment a player goes down, it tends to be a nuisance, but they battle right back. Bound having to reset all the way towards the A side. He's by himself, though.
Great idea there by Bound, getting control of B and then immediately recognizing that elevator is such a strong position on the map that you need to get it under control. Just like that, also rotates on out, gets some more control over at control, laying down shots, and that's going to be a wipe there for Optic Gaming. Trippy, the only one alive that just spawned. Does Spacestation go for the trip cap? Answer is no. They're going to sit back and hold this up for a little bit.
Bam with the 5-1 start so far. Forget the assist. My man is slaying, and I'm loving every bit of it. Down to one shot he goes. Backs down just a bit. He has a teammate over toward the glass side. Stellar ends up going down. So now that's a hole within the defense that Optic are able to exploit. Not only taking control of Gold side, you see them on the A side as well. Space Station Gaming just lost all that control they worked so hard to get.
Yeah, it felt like so many members of Space Station were just watching lower angles. It felt like they were baiting that camo, trying to punish somebody running for that camo. So even though they were able to punish Lucid for the first touch on that camo, ultimately, they lost full control of the map, and because of that, Optic now kind of broke out of their C spawns.
71-9 start coming out of Space Station Gaming. I said it before, this is their best game type, and it has been for a while, and you're seeing why. Optic Gaming, the world champion, struggling to get Space Station Gaming off the map long enough for them to take 2, if not 3 captures. Finally, it happens. Finally, Optic ends up in the B side. They were almost working for Charlie at the same time, but Space Station Gaming not going to allow that one.
Yeah, Trip Cap going down, or trying to go down there for Optic, but you have to wonder, did they overextend? There's now 2 members down here for Optic. Formal realizing that he can't stay up high in a strong position like that and lay down shots. He's just going to get hunted down, and here comes a charge from Space Station. Trading out kills, 2 apiece. This elevator position is going to be so crucial. Lucid versus Penguin. Who's going to take this duel?
Penguin chasing down Lucid. Lucid lets it go to the low ground, giving up his height advantage. Both players weak, and Lucid using that environment turns it into a double kill and then a triple kill. The man's one shot. He ain't acting like it.
We might be at DreamHack, but he is Lucid and he is in control. He is doing everything his team needs. He was the last member alive there over at Elevator, securing that kill against Penguin, turned into a triple kill, and keeping this AB setup here for Optic. And he's not done just yet, Tony.
From triple kill to trip cap to a shock rifle, Lucid taking matters into his own hands, putting 13-5 on the board and a couple more body shots. If Space Station Gaming want to gain any ground whatsoever, they got to take out Tommy.
And Tommy's not done just yet. He's also going in for this trip cap, getting the finish over on the double stacks towards Stellar. Look at that, just hitting absolutely every shot, and he's not even going to overcommit towards C just yet. He's going to wait for Shields to come back and continue this pressure on. Lucid needs to be shut down if you're on the Space Station side.
And with that pressure that Lucid and the rest of Optic were able to create, APG gets away with that camouflage. Eventually does end up going down, but that's a camouflage that Space Station Gaming desperately needed, because it looks like Optic, they take the lead.
One stat I want to point out real quick, Tony. Optic Gaming members, Trippy, APG, and Formal combined have 19 kills. Lucid has 17 kills. He is just a slaying machine on here, on recharge right now. But even with that heroic effort, Optic right now only up by 10 points. That's kind of a scary position. Yes, it's great to see your superstar going off, but when your superstar is having an incredible game like that, you want to see the lead extended much further than 10 points.
Well, hopefully they can turn it into more. Space Station Gaming had an amazing start, and now they're starting to gain their footing once again. We're seeing a little bit of a recovery now coming from Space Station. The double cap comes in. They know that Charlie is being infiltrated, goes in for the challenge, but Formal, he simply wins those.
Formal just trying to hold back towards the C setup, kind of pinned his back corner, eventually cleared out. It's interesting that so many players here are pushing in and trying to contest C when I feel like AB is the primary setup. I actually want to go to a Space Station Gaming listening to hear how they're setting up this next stronghold.
Look at L2 as well.
Knowledge?
Long glass.
Let's do weak. Knowledge weak.
One shot, Kevin. Oh, we can know. Nice shot.
We'll kill him.
They're gonna push. Turbine. Grapple. And turbine. Grappling on you guys. Another one weak.
Half wall. Both half wall. Both are half wall.
Both weak. Nice.
Absolute, Kevin. Absolute. On the stairs.
You're super. I have camo.
Get living.
I'm getting B. One shot C.
Dead. Nice.
Long hard A. Double kill. B on me.
Okay.
One shot L2.
Top red.
Chippy corner as well. Is in.
What's it? Okay.
Playing C, guys.
I'm going back to A.
Spawn A.
Okay, they're gonna be A.
We should maybe play something other than A.
Guys. 9 to red. Yo, bottom.
One shot bottom red.
Bottom A.
Trevor stairs.
Go bottom A going. Yeah, still there.
One A is weak.
Just like that, you saw Space Station get control, and then lose it towards the end of this listen-in. One thing that really stuck out to me during that listen-in is how much they prioritize someone weak, especially when they're hill. They're not afraid to drop somebody into that B stronghold to trade out a kill there when they have control of it. They want to make sure that that's not converted over so easily.
Lucid putting his 22nd on the board. The moment Spacestation Gaming wanted to go for that bottom mid flank, Lucid's already watching that angle and Bound is now coming behind enemy lines of his zone. So flanks on top of flanks on top of flanks. Bound clears out Charlie.
Just slays keep racking on up for all these players, especially Lucid, who's now at the 22 kill mark. Next closest person on the board is Stellar with 14. With that being said, Optic Gaming once again have regained the lead. They have the optimal A-B setup, but how long can they hold it for? Where's the Space Station push going to be coming in from? They have options as they're at pipes. APG winning a huge 1v1 against Bound to shut down that pipe control.
Space Station Gaming may have started Bravo, but it's about finishing it, and sadly they weren't able to do so. Optic clear it out. They get the reset and right back into the double hold. Does Optic Gaming Space Station going to start it once again? Stellar's in there. Form was able to clear out the gold side, but Bravo gets stolen before he's able to get involved.
Here we got Penguin trying to go for a crucial camo. Lucid says, how about no? Lucid has the pistol, Lucid has the camo, and where is he gonna make his next push? His team has a 30-point lead. Do they go for the trip cap or just continue extending this? What a read on that grenade as Bound gets to stick onto Lucid to at least nullify that camo.
Shock rifle now in the hands of Formal. It's his job to clear out this Whirlpool side and make sure that nobody's able from sneaking from Space Station Gaming. Double push onto the A. They're able to deal with one. APG falls forward, doesn't get the damage she's looking for. Back smack comes in. A side is cleared out. Space Station moving in for the double.
Moving on in and trading kills. And what do we say here on Strongholds when it comes to your team having control? You'll trade kills all day. That is great if you're an Optic fan. Strongholds are going to gain points on their own. So trading kills is just going to basically reduce the opportunity for Space Station to grab one of these. And once again, 2 more kills trade out each. Stellar trying to make a desperate play onto B, getting picked off across the map, and that's going to be another kill down there for Space Station. And a trip cap here for Optic. Space Station not only need to stop the bleeding, they need to convert 2 hills before they know it.
Don't have the control they're looking for, but they're going to go right in for Charlie Bravo at the same time. Bravo's not going to happen, at least just yet. Eco and Stellar, though, pushing up. Optic are aware of it, but they're forced to back down, and they're forced to give up Bravo almost immediately. Optic now the ones who need the slays here. They may be 9 seconds away from taking this game. Space Station Gaming don't have control.
I don't hate this play from Optic backing down. If they don't have the numbers or the angles, there's no need to give up all these free deaths and get it into a reverse trip cap. As I say that, though, Space Station somehow get control of A. They get the reset on C, and Optic are now on the back foot. Optic were playing passive to avoid this trip cap scenario, and it still happened.
Optic are so close to sending us into a game 5, but Space Station has already started to snowball, and it is rolling down a mountain right now. Optic not able to get out Bravo. Not able to get camo either, but it's already in the hands of Bound as they take down 1, make it 2, killing spree for Bound. Optic are in trouble.
They had a 70-point lead. That is now just a 15-point game. Space Station trying to close us out with a trip cap. They don't even need to hold the trip cap this entire time, but they're still going for this push. That's going to be a perfect shock rifle shot there from Bound. Bound just buying time as much as he can. There's 1 player in B. Formal fighting his own fight at C, which is going to be reset. Where are Optic going to go to get this last reset? And it looks like C is the play here from APG. Desperate 1v1 gets reset. Nobody in position for the elevator, and that's going to be Optic's tournament life. Space Station take the series 3-1.
Space Station Gaming going back to the grand finals as the green wall crumbles. APG made one last-ditch effort to play toward that C side. Eventually, though, not able to win that 1v1, which is tough. I mean, he didn't have the help he was looking for. Teammates go down. Optic had so much control, though, Dave. They had it. It was theirs.
They had so much control, and I felt like they played it so smart at the end. They didn't overly panic. They didn't overextend to try to stop the B cap. They tried to just hold on to elevator, get a few slays, stay in a strong position, and wait for spawners. But Space Station just kicked into gear. They got kills, and they kept staggered spawns for basically 90 seconds straight. They kept killing Optic over and over again, and we didn't get to see a full-strength Optic push for the rest of that game.
And just 9 seconds. All they needed was 9 seconds to close that out, but Space Station Gaming playing near perfect Halo right there to be able to close it out. And now, Space Station back in the grand finals. And you just beat the world champion, so you must have some kind of momentum going right now. But let's not forget Faze. They got the best of them earlier in that winners bracket finals.
They did indeed, but Space Station has their wish. They have played 2 series today. What's one more? They'd love to go bring it to a 4th. They'd love to bring it to a reset. But Space Station have earned their slot here in the grand finals. So that's going to be it from me and Tony. We had a blast casting this incredible match. Lottie, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tony and Walshy. Wow. My goodness me, I honestly thought it was all over there in that map. I thought, okay, we're going to a game 5. It's happening, folks. Like, this is it. It's going to be so incredibly competitive. But then Space Station Gaming, they always manage to just get it at the last moment. I think the pressure that Space Station apply on their opponents is so overwhelming at times, and that's exactly what we saw there in that final Strongholds, the overwhelming pressure from Bound with the grappling to C, taking that one over, the kills that are going their way, the flow that is managed to bring across the table from Space Station Gaming. Optic had no answer to it.
Yeah, in my opinion, Space Station, the best Stronghold team on the planet, and it's because the second that these guys can get a trip cap, they can end the game no matter what the score is. Even if Optic has 9 points to go, they played it perfectly, somehow breaking through Optic's setup in an act of desperation. They're able to get the kills they need in order to get into a position where they're able to get that ball rolling down the hill. And when they get that ball rolling, they do it better than just about anybody. And therefore, they've earned their spot. They shut down the opportunity at a 4-peat, and we see them in the grand finals.
It's also about the second or third time I remember this tournament, Optic throwing away a lead in the final moments, and just when you think that game's done, and maybe they think it's done, the other team just takes it away from them, and it's so tough to try and recover from those scenarios, and you saw how they were just scrambling to try and get to any sort of stronghold in those final moments, and there wasn't really too much cohesion, there wasn't too much strategy, it was just panic mode, and that's what SSG do to a team. They force you to panic like that.
100%. That is where you really need to take a second as a team, breathe, get on the same page, and think about what you need to do to then convert. And slow and steady wins the race. But that triple cap, that was snowballing out of control. I think if Optic had just got on the right page as a team and just committed to one place at one time, I think it would have been okay. But the problem is Space Station had them split up so well, especially off the fresh spawns. It was so hard for them to try and pair up and actually get that one across the board. Incredible job by Space Station Gaming. And I got to say, this grand final is going to be pretty exceptional, if I do say so myself. Both of these teams want another crack at this, I can tell you that. And Space Station, they want the rematch. They want to do it another time again because it's 2 best-of-7s that they have to win to hoist up that trophy. Absolutely incredible. I'll tell you what, folks, though. We're going to get things set up on the main stage. We're going to get the grand finals ready to go. We're going to head to a break. When we come back, somebody is going to be lifting that trophy. Stick with us to find out who.
I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart.